5 on your mental health tonight, shielding your children from violent videos online. Experts say that's getting a lot harder to do. Joining us now is Dr. Erica Lee, a psychologist at Boston Children's Hospital. Doctor, good to see you.
Hey, Dr. Lee, it's great to see you. You know how difficult it is, and as you know, there are videos that show. Sadly, there are examples in the news all the time. The current one, obviously, is the fatal shot fired at political activist Charlie Kirk. The videos that are out there are graphic. To call them disturbing is an understatement, and they are everywhere on social media. Do you think it's likely that some children have seen them?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm so glad that you're asking about this. And what we know is that this can happen even when a child does not want to see those videos and is not looking for them. This event in particular was being recorded by so many people at the event. And so those horrifying videos of the killing spread very, very quickly on the internet and social media. It's incredibly upsetting for kids and their parents, as you said, because a lot of kids could not avoid seeing those clips in their news feeds. They couldn't avoid hearing about them from other people. And a lot of kids saw those clips before their parents could even talk to them about what had happened in the news.
It's so unfortunate. It's not just these videos, doctor. Some kids are exposed to more violence, more gore these days, especially online. So what do we know about the impact on kids?
Yeah, when children are exposed to violent content online, they may talk about what they saw or how they feel about it, but often what we're looking for with kids is that their behaviors and their experiences may change. So you may start to see increases in anxiety or sadness. Maybe your child's having difficulty sleeping, they're clingier than usual, they don't want to go to school or activities. A lot of times, especially our younger children, will have more physical pains like headaches or stomach aches. And really importantly, regardless of the child's developmental stage, these images and events can be quite shocking and they can really stick in kids' minds. So they may feel it in their bodies, or you may see some of these changes for a long time afterwards, especially if it's a child who's already had some exposure to violence.
And you know, Dr. Lee, to that very point, no one can unsee something violent, like, for example, that. So is there anything that parents can do or say or whatever, just be there to make the images less scary?
Absolutely. So you're right. They can't unsee what they've already seen. But parents, you can absolutely continue to talk to your kids. What are their reactions? What are their questions about what they saw and what it means, especially if they weren't meaning to see some of this violent content? Even just validating that their fear or confusion is understandable, talking with them about how they can cope with those difficult emotions, and also how they can protect themselves from more unwanted content online. These are already huge interventions. Even just you as parents saying, we're going to continue the conversation. You can keep coming to me with your questions and your ideas. We can think about how to help you self-soothe. We can think about how to help you feel more connected to community and do more good in the world. That can be enormously soothing to kids after they've seen something really scary.
And that can make all the difference. Dr. Lee, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Dr. Lee. Take care.